Often when you're selecting objects in an image, you'll need to make combined selections. I've already started to do that in this image, selecting the two squares and adding color to them on this special color blend mode layer that I added to the Layers panel that allows the texture of the underlying image to show through. Let's make some more combined selections. In the Tools panel, select the Rectangle tool. In the Options bar, notice that the first icon is selected by default, and if you leave that selected, when you make any selection and then you click somewhere else, the initial selection disappears. So instead, let's choose the second icon, the Add to Selection icon. By the way, the shortcut for this icon is just to hold the Shift key as you drag out selections. I'll click and drag over one of the rectangles in this image, and I'll do the same across another rectangle, and that adds to the first selection. Let's fill these two rectangles on that color blend mode layer. I'm going to select another color straight out of the image to use. I'll get the eyedropper tool, and I'll click on a blue in the image. Now I could go up to the Edit menu and the Fill command there, but it's quicker to use the shortcut for filling with the foreground color, which is to press the Option plus Delete keys on a Mac or the Alt plus Backspace keys on Windows. And then I'll deselect by using the shortcut for deselect, which is Command D on the Mac or Control D on Windows. So that's how to add to a selection. Let's see how to subtract from a selection. Again, I'll select the rectangular marquee tool, and this time in the Options bar, I'll select the Subtract from Selection icon. And by the way, the shortcut for this icon is to hold the Option key on a Mac or the Alt key on Windows as you drag out selections. In the image, I'll click and drag across the entire painting. Now I want to subtract the inner white square, so I'll click and drag over that. And now I have a selection of just the gray border. To add color to that, again, I'm going to press Option plus Delete on the keyboard to fill that selection with the foreground color. That's Alt plus Backspace on a Windows keyboard. And I'll deselect, Command D on the Mac, Control D on Windows. There's one more selection combining icon to look at, and that is the Intersect with Selection icon here in the Options bar. I'll select that, and this time I'm going to use another tool. I'll go to the Rectangular Marquee tool and hold, and I'm going to choose the Single Column Marquee tool instead. So I'll come into the image, and I'm going to click in just about the center, and that creates a single pixel wide selection from top to bottom of the image. Now I only want this selection to appear inside of that white square, so I'm going to intersect this selection with a selection of the white square. I'll go back to the Rectangular Marquee tool, and I'll click on a corner of the white square, and I'll start to drag, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key to constrain proportions to a square, and as soon as I release my finger from the mouse and from the Shift key, you can see that the resulting selection is an intersection of the two. Let's give this selection a stroke. I'm going to go back to the background layer for this and click on it, and then I'll go up to the Edit menu, and I'll choose Stroke. I'll set the width of the stroke to 3 pixels. I'll click the Color field, and then I'll move into the image, and I'm going to select that same blue color from the photo. And then I'll click OK in the color picker and OK in the Stroke dialog box, and that strokes the selection, and I can deselect by pressing Command D on the Mac or Control D on Windows. Now you don't have to use just one tool when you're combining selections. You can use multiple tools together. So those are some ways to combine selections to get just the selection that you need.